Hi, everyone, and a very warm welcome to another episode of our podcast. I'm very happy to have you with me. If you've listened to previous episodes, you know that we've talked about anxiety and procrastination. Today, we're going to address something that is often the foundation of these problems, but also the key to solving them. We're going to talk about self-confidence. Self-confidence. What exactly is it? How is it different from arrogance or narcissism? It's not the belief that you are the best at everything. It's a belief in your own abilities, in your own worth. It's an awareness of your strengths and an acceptance of your weaknesses. It's a belief that you can learn, grow, overcome difficulties. It's an inner, I know I can do it, even if I'm afraid. Can you feel the difference? Confidence is a solid foundation, while arrogance is an inflated balloon that easily bursts. I remember having a problem with this myself. In college, I was terribly shy. I was afraid to speak up in class, afraid to present new ideas, afraid to take on challenges. It seemed to me that everyone around me was smarter, better, more confident. And me? I felt like such a small, lost cog in a big machine. It was a terrible state, because on the one hand, I had ambitions and dreams, but on the other hand, this lack of self-confidence paralyzed me. And I think I'm not alone in this experience, right? That's why I'd like to ask you now, so straight to you, listening to this podcast. Have you ever felt that a lack of self-confidence is blocking you from realizing your dreams? Does a lack of self-confidence keep you from taking risks? From reaching for what you really want? Think about it for a moment. If the answer is yes, then this episode is for you. Because today, I want to talk about where the lack of self-confidence comes from and what we can do about it. Because believe me, self-confidence is not something we are born with. It's something we can build, develop, nurture. It's a bit like a muscle. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes. All right, but let's start at the beginning. Where does this lack of self-confidence come from? It's like such a tree that has roots. And these roots are often deep in our past, in our experiences. One of the main sources is childhood experiences. If we grew up in an environment where we were often criticized, compared to others, where we lacked support and acceptance, then unfortunately, this may have negatively affected our self-esteem. I remember such a story of a friend of mine who was very good at drawing as a child, but her mother kept saying that her friends' works were better, that she should try harder. This made her give up drawing, and for years she thought she had no artistic. Another source of lack of confidence is failed attempts, failures, mistakes, disappointments. Each of us experiences them. They are a natural part of life. But if we focus only on these negative experiences and begin to think we suck, we find it hard to believe in ourselves. Our brain tends to remember negative things because it treats them as a threat. That's why it's important to actively look for positive evidence of your competence. Comparing ourselves with others. This is the scourge of our times, especially now, in the age of social media, where we see only idealized versions of other people's lives. We see beautiful photos, professional successes, happy families, and it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that we fare worse, that our lives are less interesting, that we are less valuable. Remember that this is only a slice of reality. People rarely show their problems, failures, or worse days. The inner critic, we already know this from previous episodes, don't we? That negative voice in our head that constantly judges us, criticizes us, undermines our decisions. You can't do it. It's too hard. Everyone else is better. You'll make a mistake. Sound familiar? The inner critic can really spill blood and effectively take away our self-confidence. Perfectionism. Another friend of ours, haha. The expectation of perfect results, the fear of making a mistake. All these things make us afraid to take risks, afraid to put ourselves up to the mark. And so, the circle closes. The more we are afraid to make a mistake, the less we act, and the less we act, the less opportunity we have to gain experience and build self-confidence. And finally, limiting beliefs. These are such negative thoughts about ourselves that have become deeply ingrained in our consciousness. I'm not smart, intelligent enough. I'm not creative enough. I'm not attractive enough. I don't deserve success. These are just some examples. These beliefs act like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe them, you will subconsciously do anything to make them come true. Do you see how many factors can contribute to a lack of self-confidence? This is a complex problem, but the good news is that we can change it. We can reprogram our mind, strengthen our self-confidence. And now we'll move on to specific strategies that can help you do that. The first thing you need to do is identify your strengths. I know this may sound trivial, but many of us have a huge problem with this. We are masters at pointing out our mistakes and imperfections, but we rarely take the time to appreciate what we are good at. That's why I now suggest you do a little exercise. Take a piece of paper and a pen and write down at least 5 of your strengths. What do you do well? What talents do you have? What character traits do you... Small steps. This is another principle. You don't have to conquer Mount Everest right away. Start with small, achievable goals and celebrate every success, even the smallest ones. Every step overcome, every task accomplished is proof that you can do it. It builds your self-confidence. For example, if you are afraid of public speaking, you don't have to speak in front of a crowd right away. Start with a presentation in front of family or friends. Getting out of your comfort zone. This is difficult but necessary. Nothing develops us like taking on challenges. Of course, it's not about throwing yourself into the deep end right away. Start with something small, something that scares you a little but doesn't paralyze you. Sign up for a dance course. Try a new sport. Talk to a stranger. Each step out of your comfort zone is a victory over fear and a step toward greater confidence. Work with the inner critic. This we already know from previous episodes, but it's worth revisiting because it's crucial. Notice when negative thoughts arise and try to replace them with positive, supportive beliefs. It takes practice, but over time, you will learn to recognize and challenge these negative automatisms. Instead of thinking, "I screwed up again," think, "Okay, I made a mistake, but I can learn from it and do better next time." Self-acceptance. This is the basis. Like yourself, just as you are, with flaws and advantages. No one is perfect. We all have some imperfections, weaknesses, worse days. It's important to accept what we can change and come to terms with what we can't change. Work on what you can improve, but don't beat yourself up for not being perfect. Taking care of ourselves. It may sound trivial, but it really works. Sleep, diet, physical activity, relaxation. All of these things affect our well-being and our self-confidence. If you are sleepy, well-nourished, and have time to rest, you have more energy and are more resilient to stress. And this in turn translates into your self-confidence. Affirmations. This can also help. Repeat positive statements about yourself to yourself. For example, I am competent. I believe in myself. I deserve to succeed. It may sound a little ridiculous at first, but regular repetition of such affirmations helps reprogram the subconscious and reinforce a positive self-image. Surround yourself with positive people. Support and acceptance from others is very important. Seek the company of people who believe in you, who support you, who inspire you. Avoid toxic relationships that depress you and undermine your self-confidence. And finally, learn from your mistakes. Treat failures as an opportunity to grow, not as evidence of incompetence. Every mistake is a lesson. Ask yourself, in conclusion, lack of self-confidence is a common problem that has many causes. But remember that you can change it. You can build self-confidence step by step using a variety of strategies, from identifying your strengths to getting out of your comfort zone to working with your inner critic and taking care of yourself. It's a process that takes time and effort, but pays huge dividends. Remember that self-confidence is key to overcoming anxiety and procrastination. When you believe in yourself, it's easier to take on challenges, deal with difficulties, and realize your dreams. Finally, I have this question for you, a homework assignment. What is one thing you can do today to feel more confident? Think about it, and do it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you found it inspiring and motivating. See you in the next podcast. Stay warm, and remember, believe in yourself.